Hello and welcome to Filming in Greece Against All Odds, a panel discussion on the filming environment in Greece today, which is being presented during Focus Digital 2020 by EKOME, the National Center of Audiovisual Media and Communication, and the Hellenic Film Commission of the Greek Film Center. I'm Christopher Vourlias. I'm an Athens-based freelance journalist and regular contributor to Variety, covering the industry here in Greece and across Eastern and Southeastern Europe. We're going to chat a little bit about the state of the industry in Greece today, how we're coping with the pandemic here, and then we're going to speak with representatives of two high-profile international productions, which both successfully wrapped filming in Greece in November 2020, Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Lost Daughter and Ruben Östlund's Triangle of Sadness. So before we begin, I'd just like to briefly introduce our four panelists. First, we have Vasiliki Diagouma of EKOME, the National Center of Audiovisual Media and Communication. Hello, Vasiliki.
Hi.
Next, we have Venia Vergou of the Hellenic Film Commission. Yasu Venia.
Kalispera.
Next, we have Erik Hemmendorff, who's the co-founder of Plattform Production, which is based in Gothenburg and Stockholm. It's a company he co-founded with producer and director Ruben Östlund. Welcome, Erik. Yasu, Erik. And finally, we have Kostas Kefalas, the head of production at Faliro House, one of the leading production companies here in Greece. Welcome, Kostas.
Hello. Very nice being here.
So thank you all for being here today for what I'm sure will be a really interesting, dynamic, and hopefully enjoyable conversation. Before we open up, I'd like to start with Vasiliki and Venia to talk a little bit about their institutions, EKOME and the Hellenic Film Commission, which have done so much both to support and promote the Greek industry. So Vasiliki, maybe we can start with you. If you can talk a little bit about EKOME, what it does, tell us about the 40% cash rebate that I'm sure everyone wants to hear about, and what you're doing to support the industry.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you very much. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Venia. Thank you, Erik and Kostas. Welcome to this discussion. I would just like to say that EKOME, the National Center of Audiovisual Media and Communication, is a company that protects, promotes, and supports audiovisual productions in Greece through different targeted actions. The most popular, obviously, is our action called Invest, is how we attract investment in Greece in the production of audiovisual works. And to this end, we have initiated and we are administering two financial tools. The cash rebate program, it's a mechanism that returns money to producers that have chosen Greece as their destination for principal photography and or post-production. So 40% of the eligible expenses incurred in Greece is returned to producers once their works are completed. It's paid in cash. It's a direct transfer of money to an account. It's a very fast and a very simple procedure. We have been operating this program for the last 2.5 years, and we have attracted over 100 projects, international and domestic, in Greece, namely feature films, but also TV series, animated films, and documentaries and digital games. We are very happy to be part of projects like the ones you're going to hear from Kostas and Erik. One of the things that we are very proud of is the fact that through this program, because of the attractiveness of the incentive, because of the way we operate the incentive, and because of the results that we had, we're discussing an investment of over 92 million euro in 2.5 years in Greece in this particular activity, and over 33 million euro returned through the cash rebate program to producers. We have been able to to present Greece as a very solid opportunity for production, while at the same time highlighting the beauty of this country as a destination, something that will also be quite discussed here. Venia will share information for this particular aspect, but the incentives don't stop here. We also have a tax relief program, a program that is newly introduced to Greece. It can also be combined with the cash rebate program. It's addressed to physical and legal entities that are taxed in Greece and that choose to invest in an audiovisual project, namely a feature film, for example. It's a very simple procedure. It's even more simple than the one that we follow for the cash rebate program, also administered by EKOME, and basically it offers a 30% return on the income tax submitted at the end of the year for those who have chosen to invest in audiovisual projects. So I think that it's just not about incentives, although it's a market and we have to discuss money and financing. It's also a matter of various other topics that we're going to briefly discuss in our conversation. So I don't want to take more of this time, and I want to give the floor back to you, Christopher. And thank you once again for this. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think I think it's worth pointing out that the rebate, which was at 35%, rose to 40% this summer.
Yes.
The tax relief program just recently kicked in. You've been receiving applications for the rebate. So in spite of these difficult times and the pandemic and the lockdowns and all of that, EKOME, the Greek film industry, are both up and running throughout this period. Thank you, Vasiliki. Venia, along those lines, you have also been keeping busy at the Hellenic Film Commission throughout this period. Can you just give a little bit of background about what you and the Hellenic Film Commission do, both within Greece and to sort of promote the country and the industry abroad?
Sure, of course. Once again, thank you for this lovely panel and this very, very wonderful coexistence among these two institutions. The Hellenic Film Commission is the national film commission of the country of Greece. It's a division of the Greek Film Center, exercising cinematographic policy in Greece over the last 30 years, primarily financing Greek films and also co-productions. It represents Greece in ERIMAS for co-productions with EU countries. And the Hellenic Film Commission is a member of the European Film Commissions Network and the Association of Film Commissions International. So we represent the country in those associations as well, where we exchange a lot of know-how and expertise with other film commissions. And it's really interesting to see how, even if we are very competitive countries, at the same time we are colleagues. And especially in the European arena, we exchange a lot of best practices in order to improve strategies of attracting and facilitating productions in Greece. So over the last 3 years that I've been running the commission at the Greek Film Center, this is the main target, to actually make sure that we send the message across worldwide that Greece offers an amazing momentum of opportunities for extremely competitive incentives like the 40% cash rebate, offers an amazing diversity of locations, which is not only narrowed down to the stereotypical locations everybody knows about Greece, like the iconic Cycladic islands, but also locations that nobody could imagine that Greece offers, like forests and snow-capped mountains and even volcanoes and lakes. And also that Greece, over the past at least 10-15 years, has grown into a film industry offering very well experienced and highly skilled English-speaking crews and highly professional production companies like Fowler House Productions, represented today by Kostas Kefalas, and also like Heretic, who was the company that co-produced and serviced the Ruben Östlund film recently in Greece. So this is our main target, to make sure that we are here to make things possible for international shoots. And the Hellenic Film Commission offers facilitation, and we intervene whenever there's a problem with filming permits. We are the liaison between the Ministry of Culture and the film industry, because the Ministry of Culture is actually supervising us. And this is our main aim so far. And I have to say, talking about the period of the pandemic, it has been really instrumental for us to make sure that officials at the Ministry of Culture have understood the importance of not stopping filming during lockdown, number 2. So this was a big success, and we were very pleased that productions that were actually running, like the Swedish production, were able to continue even if lockdown was exercised in the country for a second time.
Thank you, Venia. We're going to come back to you a bit later, because I'd like to talk a little bit more about that and how you and the Ministry of Culture work together to ensure that the cameras could keep rolling. But I think that's a good segue to speak to you, Erik. And I'd like to start with you and Triangle of Sadness. This is Ruben Östlund's follow-up to his Palme d'Or winner, The Square. And it centers on a fashion model celebrity couple who go on a cruise for the super rich. And after their yacht sinks, the survivors are marooned on an island where the dynamics of the group start to change. So first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about why you chose to shoot this film in Greece. I don't know if you had any experience filming in the country before, but how did you end up here?
Well, I think there was a few reasons. We started. Me and Ruben did like a very thorough research on how this island was supposed to look, and we scouted everything from islands out like the Shetland Islands to the Caribbean or Hawaii or everything. And what we did find out, what we were looking for were, what we knew that we did not want was the typical sort of Caribbean or Asian sandy island, which sort of belongs to the sort of TV shows nowadays, or the Robinson Crusoes. We wanted like a real European touch to it, even though it's never outspoken where you are exactly. We felt this is a European film. It's English language, have some stars in it, but it's important for our sort of European cultural heritage. And so we were scouting, and we were scouting everywhere. And then I was in Berlin, and I actually ran into Yorgos from Carnavas, from Heretic, which I'm known for many years. We were in a program called ACE a few years ago, and we had been trying to work together. And he basically told me that, there's a program that is starting in Greece. Could we investigate? And Greece is, I think for Swedish people, Greece is a special place. I've been there a lot, but only on the islands. But there's a real connection. And I think for me personally, we work in a people's industry. So if you don't like the people you work with, you're not going to last a long time. So, but I did only know of the sort of typical island topography that I had been to, and me and Yorgos really started he was listening to our ideas, and then actually he sent me some proposals, and we started, we did islands, a very broad search, but we narrowed it down, and we told him the needs. It was an international cast. There will be some flying. We cannot be too far away from Athens, but it needs to be secluded. And we had this idea of, maybe not a complete sandy beach, but more like pebbles. So there's some like hardship. And then he actually sent me the best location materials that I have ever seen. And it was a location guy called, I have his name, we called him Menos, but of course, that's, it's called Menelaus Mytilineos. He's just an amazing person who have been spending a lot of time on Evia. And it was so fun because usually, basically they sent up, like we said, don't do abroad, but send us. So he sent us like 2 locations that was very well made. And they were actually so good. And we were a bit amazed because it had sort of the wildness, it had the ocean, it had the really big mountains. If you go out a bit on the sea, it's really like the Himalayas, even, when you're there in January, it's snow on it and it's still the sea. So it really felt like a magic place. And then we just, Ruben went there for a week and then that was decided. And so, but so this was one point, but for me as a producer, it had to work. So, it was the combination, what I knew was that I need to find a place that also could sort of work economically. And we had to have a budget that we needed to put together. So, the places where we could look were places where had, like a tax or cash rebate. But to be honest, like Ruben is really picky with locations. So if it hadn't worked on the locations, Ruben wouldn't be okay with it. Me, I'm super picky with the context or the people. And and I knew Georgios and I had been to Greece. I love Greece. But I have also met, like some of the funniest or best people that I met when I'm working, in film festivals. We've also been meeting, with Atina Sangari. And so me and Ruben were always like, the Greeks are they are the best people, we were really saying that. We just love spending time with that. And if you're gonna go into a project together, you need to be with someone you want to spend like a year with.
Yeah.
But then it was really amazing when Georgios told us about how the system worked and how we could work with the cash rebate. That was important for the financiers.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about that sort of the collaboration and working with the specific people you worked with, both from Heretic, from Greek officials, because you finished, if I'm not mistaken, you finished the first leg of shooting in the spring in Sweden, I gather, if that's correct. Just as lockdowns were kind of sweeping across Europe, and that just upended everything for everyone. So can you walk us through what was going through your mind now as you're preparing to come to Greece in late summer? How were you working with Heretic to kind of lay the groundwork to make sure you could hit the ground running when you arrived for I think it was a 9-week shoot that you had here in Greece?
So we started in February in Sweden, and that was just when the corona came to Europe, basically. And then we finally closed in late March. I think Sweden was one of the last countries up and running. And why we had to close, because in Sweden you were still allowed to go out, to go to work if you were in road, was basically because it was impossible to get anyone flying in anymore. Mm-hmm. So when it came to, because at one point we had to decide if we were going to postpone a whole year or if we were going to try to start up again in Greece. We had started with a very strict protocol, COVID protocol in Sweden, because we continued like the second leg in studio in Sweden during the summer, basically, that we could try sort of the COVID protocol. And then we developed that together with Heretic, who made, I think we made a very sort of thorough program, because, it was not only convincing ourselves and the crew, but it was also not, like the financiers and the insurance company and the bank, etc. but we also knew that this place that we had chosen was, it was a secluded place. So in fact, it was a little bit like going to a quarantine. If we went there and no one left for 9 weeks, we controlled the whole area. And what we did was that we had, been spending so much time of including the whole village, the hotel owners, the taxi drivers, and everybody who was in contact. They were sort of included in the team. And then we had COVID tests every week. And that included not only the team, but also everybody involved, like, in the hotels and restaurants and everyone. So in the end, we made, I think Heretic did, they were responsible for over like 1,000 COVID tests.
Wow.
Actually, none were negative, positive, I mean.
And working as well with the local officials, as you said, with the local community during this, pretty stressful time. Was it easy to communicate, to understand what was happening, to understand what the protocols were on set, everything? Did you have any obstacles with that, or did it go pretty smoothly?
I mean, everybody was sort of up to the challenge, and it was sort of a ultimatum. If you want to join, basically you had to, even for, since also like the Swedish and international crew couldn't go home. Basically the Greek crew was kind enough, so it didn't become like two different, because this is always the problem with co-productions, that you sort of become two teams.
Yeah.
It really was a team that understood, like, well, I think we're all in this, we have to apply the same rules. So we really try to emphasize that we are one film team and we have the same rules. So if people were flying in from internationally, or if some were coming in from Athens, you had to make a test like 3 days or 72 hours before coming to show that they were negative. You had to be in a quarantine, and when you arrived at center, you did the test, and then you did the test like 2 days after. And that was the same for Greek and non-Greeks.
I'd like to speak to you a little bit, because Faludo House has a long history of working with international teams, international films, and with The Lost Daughter. If I understand, this wasn't a film that was initially meant to shoot in Greece. And then that changed, and then you welcomed them with open arms, I'm sure. Can you tell us a little bit about how that unfolded, how you were first approached about filming here, how much convincing you had to do to get your international partners on board and, convince them to come shoot the movie in Greece?
Yeah, hi. Happy to be here with you all. Very nice meeting you, Erik. Amazed, I'm a big fan of your work. So The Lost Daughter, yes, it was originally meant to shoot in New Jersey. But, late spring, as soon as the former lockdown stopped, the producers from Pi Films and Endeavor Content, Kelly Todd from Endeavor and Talia Kleinhandler and Osnat Karen from Israel, had this great, after all, it was a great idea by result, let's say, idea to consider Greece, both in terms of the incentives, and that was before the incentives was raised to 35 to 40 from 35, but because of the country's success in terms of dealing with the pandemic, and we started discussion, and within 2 weeks, as Erik suggested, we found this amazing place after looking at different, alternatives in the country. As Venia very well said, that's one of the gifts of the country that was there, all along. And as soon as the incentives came into the picture, then, everything started to change in many aspects. So we considered different locations, look into them, and suddenly one of these great islands which are close to the mainland, so you can travel, you can be easily from the airport to the island, but as well, it was a separate, you could create a bubble in this island, and being there without anyone leaving, not even the Greeks, an island which is, 2.5 hours drive from Athens, and then a 5-minute water taxi to get onto. And, this served as an amazing territory, and the script was rewritten. I mean, the script was there. I mean, after the Lost Daughter of Miss Ferrante's book, the story was there and the script was there, but it was adjusted to Greece instead, of an Italian resort somewhere. And this island kind of served us as a medium-sized studio that both had sound stages, but as well as a big campus with great beaches, nice, pine wood trees, because we had the pine wood as, one of the protagonists of the drama. Something was happening with a pine at some point, etc. And after 15 days of looking around, sending pictures, scouting, and dealing with the beauty of the country, the producers decided to bring it into Greece. And that was, the decision was made early in the summer. And then we had, just a couple of months, slightly less than a couple of months of hard prep in order to get the film running. And we even dressed New York apartments, London apartments, in buildings that were there on this island. Amazing buildings from the beginning of the 20th century, a great school campus that, some visionary back then had to create this vision about his, island, to create this amazing school and this amazing hotel that kind of stands out. And, we can say, after all, after 2,500 COVID tests, 3 times per week for the Zone A, the people that are close to cast, and 1 time per week for the rest of us, and quarantining everyone that was coming from abroad, was staying 14 days in the room. Everyone that was coming from Athens stayed 3 to 7 days in the room. And then after a while, as Erik suggested, we became a big family with the same rules applied to everyone. No Greek was traveling back home. Even, during the weekends, it was very easy, very, very close proximity to Athens and to our families. But, we were all there, few weeks. And actually, even though we had to send out emails reminding people during the weekends to behave, to, stay away from the crowds, and if they go to a restaurant, take care of themselves, wearing PPEs all the time, etc. We had great time. And it's unfortunate that, I'm speaking for Greece, and I'm speaking for Valera House, and I'm speaking for how successfully this was done. But I would love to have someone, from the foreign producers to speak out for that as well. But I think they are doing it. And right now, 2021, this celebration year for Greece is going to become very busy, looks like.
Yeah.
Chris, if you allow me only for a second, Costa, is it by choice that you don't mention the island? Is it still?
No. It's Petes. No. Sorry.
Island.
It's Petes Island. It's no. Absolutely not. It's not our big secret.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely not.
For our international viewers, and especially,
sometimes the Greek names are kind of strange.
Yeah.
I think we should make it clear, especially to our viewers in Hollywood who heard you mention New Jersey. No one has ever referred to Spetses as the New Jersey of Greece. It's an island. It's a very well-known island for Greek travelers. It's tends to be a bit more upmarket, but you managed to, as you said, adapt it to meet your purposes for the sake of this film and the script. And we should mention, by the way, the Lost Daughter. This is based on a novel by the best-selling Italian author Elena Ferrante. This is the directorial debut of Maggie Gyllenhaal. Stars Olivia Colman, Dakota Johnson, Jesse Buckley, Peter Sarsgaard. A very formidable. Thank you, Venia. But as you said, just to wrap up this portion, but you'd mentioned the protocols that were in place, the testing and all of that. I mean, we all know here in Europe that a big problem that a lot of countries have faced this year has just been simply getting A-list talent to get on a plane and travel to them, whether because of restrictions or insurance coverage or fears or anything. Were there any fears or reservations from Maggie Gyllenhaal and Olivia Colman and the rest? Did you have to really kind of reassure them about the safety protocols? Did everyone feel safe on set? The discussions that we had were early discussions. As soon as we made sure that we can do that, and as soon as we presented the plan in place and the protocols, that all protocols, just follow the protocols by SAG. So we kind of implemented these protocols, very strict ones, to our productions. And as soon as everything was written down and the people involved also created, the sense of safety, then we didn't have any discussion to do. And no cast had they were looking forward to arrive to Greece, because as I understood, after our wrap, no one wanted to go back. Mm-hmm. I mean, the world out there was kind of scary.
Scary, yeah.
After this safe bubble that we all lived in for all these weeks.
Yeah. I mean, Venia, maybe you can speak to that a little bit, because I know the Hellenic Film Commission and the Ministry of Culture work together very closely to provide these protocols and to ensure that, as we said earlier, the cameras can continue to roll. These are, meeting the international standards, meeting the SAG protocols, and everything that is being implemented on set here in Greece. Should assuage any concerns that international producers might have about coming here. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Well, when the pandemic approached us back in February, and during the first lockdown, everybody was shocked and frozen. So filming stopped, cameras stopped. There was a very strict decision by the government following the epidemiologists' advice to stop any function. So there was no chance of actually persuading them for the opposite. In the meantime, though, when the first lockdown stopped and cameras started rolling back in May, even since that moment, all productions that have paused immediately started to reschedule and prepare themselves. Mm-hmm. And everybody was proactively prepared for the shoots that were about to happen during summer. Hence, another production that was serviced by Heretic, Daughters, which was among the first European co-productions to start shooting in Europe during the pandemic, which was shot on the island of Amorgos, a German, Italian, Greek co-production. I had the pleasure of visiting the shooting on set because I was really curious to see how they were implementing the protocols. Because as soon as the first lockdown was had stopped and filming was resuming, the safety protocol was always in place and productions had to follow it. So I was amazed to see how everybody was complying with the rules. Everybody was very, very cautious and very careful. When the second lockdown was announced by the Prime Minister, it was then the moment that we actually persuaded, well, there was no need actually by that time to persuade the Ministry of Culture as much as it were for the Ministry of Culture to have the right argumentation towards the Health Committee to make sure that cameras should not stop as long as extra careful measures were taken. So nowadays, during the second lockdown, rapid tests are necessary on a weekly basis, which was not the case at first. Also, a preliminary permission is needed by the Ministry of civil protection, and also everybody from the crew needs to have a certificate for, you know, for circulating around, basically, which is also mandatory. So the protocols have become more strict, but at the same time, foreign productions coming in the country, as far as I know, implement extra measures that are exercised in their own countries as well, to make sure that all foreign cast and crew members are absolutely safe to proceed with filming in Greece.
Yeah. You know, I hope, you know, we've seen that the industry has done so well to cope with the pandemic this year. We all hope, as Costa said, that 2021 is going to be a busy year in Greece as we celebrate the 200th anniversary next year. And we hope production will be booming all across Europe. Looking ahead, both either Venia or Vasiliki, if you want to touch on some other initiatives that the government is doing to keep the industry moving forward. Vasiliki, for example, I know EKOME is working on this network of film offices in regions around the country. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how producers can take advantage of that?
Sure, absolutely. One thing that we need to take into consideration is, as we have these two cases presenting right now, that we are looking at decentralization of production, namely, you know, not everyone wants to film in Athens, and although Athens is an amazing city and the region of Attica is so diverse, there is a huge territory out there, very diverse. As Venia mentioned, we have amazing locations, and they're all situated in the premises of different regions. So for servicing purposes and for better monitoring and adjusting administration procedures, it is essential to have offices that will be able to support and service a production, any kind of production. We are focusing here on filming, but the filming process touches on videos and advertisements and the work of social media and anything that can be related to production activity on site. And we want to make sure that everybody understands that there is a mechanism out there that is ready to support any kind of production in order for the production to materialize on time and without any kind of problem. So the effort that we're doing, and we have used the time that the first lockdown generated for us, because the moment production activity stopped in Greece, we were able to focus on different aspects of this process and how can we best adjust all our mechanisms. We started with the cash rebate program, and we made it a better cash rebate program. We raised it from 35 to 40. We focused on what the film offices can provide in order to attract investment in their own territory by showing up and by telling the world that we're here to facilitate you. So we want to help the industry understand that through all this mechanism, incentives, facilitation process, permitting, locations, safety protocols. This is a very solid market where any production can thrive, and it's amazing to hear stories from people who were able to shoot on location and have this feeling, like Costa described, that we wrapped and we didn't want to leave the island. But this is a feeling that comes after lots of different people and stakeholders have collaborated. And for us, this is our mission. This is what we really want to do, is to help professionals find, materialize their project, their idea, get it in action, and make them the best, the most out of what Greece can offer.
Yeah, and you know, we unfortunately we need to wrap up, but you know, it's worth mentioning that along with all these locations we've talked about, you know, the Apple TV series Tehran was shot in Athens with Blonde Productions. you know, Born to be Murdered, the political thriller starring John David Washington, shot in Greece. You know, it's a country that can double for other places as well. We unfortunately we're out of time, but you know, we didn't get a chance to ask Erik about one of the most important locations in Greece to appear in film in modern memory. The yacht in your film was the Christina O's, the yacht that once belonged to Aristotle Onassis and Jackie Kennedy. And I'm sure a lot of people would be fascinated to see it on screen. Do we have time to hear this story, or are people going to have to come to Greece to hear and see it for themselves?
I think we have 1 minute for that.
We have 1 minute, Erik. Would you want to tell us about how that became part of the film?
What I can tell you is that we loved the boat. It was a great experience, and you know, but the story about the yacht and the film itself, you know, this was a crazy year, but you know, we really feel fortunate, and you know, we had so much I mean so much things could have gone wrong somewhere else. I don't know. We had 9 weeks of fantastic shooting and no COVID. And then on top of that, we managed to have Onassis, you know, yacht that we, for the 2 last weeks. And I mean, it's a fantastic, it's like a Cinderella story, but it was, I will tell you, in Cannes.
Okay.
Against all odds. Great. Thank you to all the panelists for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone watching this at home. And we hope you took away the main point is that, you know, Greece is here. We are open for business. It's a thriving industry. It has a lot to offer, and we're all looking forward to 2021 and what it has in store for the country, the continent, the world, you know, once we start to reopen. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.
Be safe.